Welcome to the Bay Area Business Podcast with Joseph Blackman. Twice a week, we highlight the people behind the businesses in the San Francisco Bay Area. Take your next step to success while being inspired by the journeys of others. Be great, be unforgettable, and be you. Put a big smile on your face as we begin the show. In 3, 2, 1.
So I'm here with Richard J Eber. Richard, you're the owner of Amerisa Rapid Transit USA, Inc.
That's correct.
Can you go ahead and tell me a little bit more about that and how you add value to the East Bay area?
Okay, very easily. We are an international freight forwarder and non-vessel operating carrier, and we do not do any domestic business. What we do is if to put it in a simple terminology, we're a travel agent for cargo. We're bonded by the Federal Maritime Administration of the United States, and we ship overseas. There's only 5 people in the whole company, and you could probably classify us as a niche operation because we specialize in shipping to difficult places. As an example, we do quite a bit of business to Mongolia, where I visited a couple of times.
Nice.
We do a lot of business in China, as we have Chinese-speaking people that are involved with the business.
Okay.
We ship to Kazakhstan. Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan.
Nice. So
a lot of stuff in Russia and the old republics of the Soviet Union.
So when you ship, do you mean that, say, if I have to ship out 100 staplers or 1,000 staplers, I fill a 40-foot container full of them, and then you would get it there?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah. We also, in addition to containers, we also do break bulk and roll-on, roll-off cargo, which is stuff that doesn't fit into containers. So we're a bit of a specialist, and typically our clientele are small to medium-sized companies that need personal attention, and with the type of money that gets involved in some of the transactions we do, they would prefer to deal with ourselves than an 800 number, where the person likely doesn't have our expertise or experience or cares what the general outcome of the transaction might be.
Okay. Well, what got you into containerization, globalization? That's kind of a hard niche to just stumble into.
Well, when I got out of college out of UC Santa Barbara,
At the banana slugs?
No, that's I think UC Irvine.
Is that?
We were the Gauchos, although when I was going there, the students decided that they wanted to change the mascot to the Roaches, but the administration said that wasn't going
to fly.
No, it wouldn't play. But in any event, when I was in college, I was involved heavily in the newspaper. And when I got out of college, I had hoped to get involved in a career in journalism, but I couldn't get any jobs, so I ended up getting a position working for an export company, and that actually at the time sold firearms.
Nice.
I have personally no interest in firearms, but shipping Smith & Wessons was certainly an exercise in having to do everything right, because we had to keep track of every serial number of every weapon that we had. And
I bet.
in addition, we sold their line of chemical, mace, and riot gear, and I was the only person that worked for the company that had first-hand experience in dealing with this in my college days, demonstrating against the Vietnam War. Anyway, as luck would have it, I got involved in this business, and then I kind of migrated to shipping, and I ended up getting involved in kind of unique business areas like I am now, mostly because I found that doing things like normal people didn't suit me so well. I like to do unique things.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I kind of got into the difficult destination business, where I still am today. Although we do normal business as well, but our company is more known for shipping to difficult places under difficult circumstances.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of where we are.
Okay, so a company. It's harder to find a shipping company that would ship to a difficult place in a difficult time, and that's why you chose that niche.
Kind of, and I've talked to people, and they said, "Well, our company policy doesn't allow us to ship to Kazakhstan." And they said, "What's your company policy?" And I said, "I don't have one."
We'll get it there.
Exactly. Our attitude is not to quit or to say anything is impossible. And if I had $100 for every time somebody told me in life that whatever I was doing wasn't possible, I'd probably be wealthier than I am now.
That's a good statement. A lot of people will tell you what you can't do.
I've never liked to do that. And the other thing is that individually, I'm better off in a small company because I like making decisions, and I have been in corporate life before, and it just didn't suit me very well. Mostly because I'm really bad in meetings. I have this horrible habit of giving my own opinion and not worrying about the ramifications. So that kind of precludes being successful in heavy, high-level corporate world.
I'm with you on that one. So the next question I have for you is kind of a tough one or a different one. Give me a story of a failure that brought you to your success today.
Okay. When I was working for the gun company, I was basically fired from the company because my boss was basically covering over a shipment that he took over from me, and then when it went caca, he gave it back to me. And the lesson that I learned from that, I learned a couple of lessons from that. First of all, whenever you're put in a position, an awkward position in business, it's always good to put things in writing so you have something to fall back on later on. And I also learned that in business, when you make a mistake, obviously there was one made here. In this instance, a shipment was sent out without putting an insurance policy on it. And as luck would have it, this container of clay, the vessel sank. Ooh. So the clay probably wasn't worth very much. So what I learned from that is that when a mistake is made, it's, especially in international business, it's much better to cop to it and deal with it rather than try to put it under the rug or try to blame someone else as what occurred here. And by doing that, it's good for business and it's good for everything else. And another lesson that I learned from this is if you tell the truth, you don't have to worry what you told people.
You don't have to remember anything.
No. So this was very illustrative for me. Unfortunately, young people, as I was at that time, this is a hard lesson to learn because nobody wants to admit that they made a mistake or don't know something. Mm-hmm. And the sooner that one can deal with this, the better, in my view.
Definitely. That's powerful. So, for the next year, what is your plan for growth? Tell me about your marketing, advertising, how you plan to grow, or if you are you even planning to grow? Because some people don't need to grow.
I'm not. I'm more worried and concerned about profitability than I am with growth.
Watching your margins.
Well, yeah. Right now, business is pretty good for us, but it comes and goes because in international business, especially for a firm that a lot of our trade is niche, like as an example, we do a lot of shipments of automobiles overseas, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. We've had runs in the Philippines, we've had runs in Europe, we've had runs in Russia and elsewhere. And what I found is that whenever you get involved in any sort of auto trade, it's really in reality what you call a window of opportunity business, meaning that there's a short window where this business can go on, and then it shuts right away. And one thing that this type of business has taught me is that you can't be a one-horse operation. You just can't do business in one area, because when something goes sour, you want to balance that business by having something else that you can fall back on. Definitely. So if you rely on one commodity or one locality, you're going to get in trouble sometime, and it will be difficult to adjust.
That's nice. The window of opportunity business, that makes a lot of sense. You don't want to get stuck in one niche, because if that niche goes sour, your business goes sour.
That's correct.
That's beautiful. So what are 2 things that you do daily that set you apart from the average guy?
Well, let's see. Do daily. I go to the gym 3 times a week.
Nice.
I try to spend time setting priorities for myself every day. It doesn't have to be a lot of things. It can be 2 or 3 things. It can be major. It can be minor.
Do you use a to-do list?
No.
No?
If anything, I'll write down a note for myself the day before of what I want to accomplish. I think I often wake up in the morning setting priorities for myself, because I think I spend a lot of time thinking. It's very strange. I'm very busy, yet I'm not busy. I think, well, because people think, oh my gosh, Richard, you're so busy. You run a business. You do most of the cooking at home. You make wine. You're on these city committees. You write these articles. You go to meetings. You do charity work, which often involves donating wine to civic and charitable causes. You're so busy, how do you have time to do anything? And my answer is, I really don't feel that I'm that busy, and I actually find myself wasting a great deal of my time and not being productive, including, watching the Giants games.
Go Giants.
And having a lot of hobbies and interests, because I never get bored.
Yeah.
If it's raining, I want to go mushroom hunting.
Nice.
If it's sunny, I want to do something outside. What I don't like to do is waste a lot of time with stupid games and TV that is not very productive.
Yeah, I can't watch TV. It's just the time suck.
Well, the Giants, that's my favorite TV show.
Yeah.
That and my only real vice as a TV watcher is I do like the Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory.
Because it's actually funny.
Yeah. I haven't really seen too much of that. I'll check it out.
Okay.
So you spoke about a little bit of the charitable activities you do. You said you give wine to a certain company, or
no? To different groups. Like my daughter Whitney is the director of the Concord chapter of the Birthright, and when they have functions, I frequently donate wine which they can sell. I've also given wine to churches. I've served wine at the a benefit for the Ruth Bancroft Gardens. Just a large number of times. I can't even keep track of them and I don't try to.
And you make the wine personally?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you got the house with all the vats and the tubes and.
I do.
Yeah.
It's primarily historically over the years has been done in my garage. I buy the grapes and then produce them.
Yeah, nice. So, are you a reader?
To be honest with you, I used to read a lot more than I do now. I find as I've gotten older that it's more difficult to sit and read a novel. I almost never read anything else but novels. I'm not a great deal into self-help books or how-to-do books. I like to sometimes look at cookbooks, and that function has actually gone online because if there's a dish that I'm interested in, I'll look and see how it's made and then kind of ad-lib a recipe.
Put a little Richard in it.
Yeah.
Nice. So you have a blog, and your blog is called Halfway to Concord.
It's not my blog.
You're a writer.
I write for Halfway to Concord, which is owned and operated by Bill Graham Reefer, halfwaytoconcord.com.
Okay.
And I write a weekly column, more or less, that is generally between 1,000 and 1,200 words.
Nice.
On different topics that interest me. Nobody ever says, "Oh, you got to do this" or "you got to do that," and it deals with a large number. Most of the subjects are local, but I talk about state, I talk about national, or really anything that comes to mind. I mean, last week I wrote about the Mount Diablo school districts. This week I'm writing about climate change, and I have a series planned on charter schools, and I also have something about recycling. So whatever, or I'll be doing stuff on the elections for city council locally, and the assembly. So it can be any topic at any time, whatever ideas that I think of, which often come when I'm working out. When I'm working out at the gym, I think of, because I want to get my mind off of the pain of doing this process, which I don't especially enjoy, but it's needed for health reasons. I think of ideas, and then I write down a couple of ideas, and then end up writing something.
Yeah. When you're working out, and I do the same thing whenever I'm jogging, your brain is just so much more stimulated. You get all these ideas and
that's very true.
Different thoughts and ways of doing things.
Yeah.
That's why working out to me is more mental than it is physical.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. So you said you're a part of a couple things locally, a couple different boards. You want to go into that and tell us what you're part of?
Sure. I'm on the Measure Q Oversight Committee.
And what is that?
That makes sure that the half-cent sales tax that was voted on in, I think it was 2010, or maybe it was 2012. Damn if I remember. Anyway, it's make sure that this money is well spent by the city of Concord. I was put on the committee because I originally opposed this measure, but after a couple of years of looking how the budget of Concord is formulated, I'm thinking that the money's being well spent, and without it, city services would be radically cut and in many cases eliminated. And for that reason, I've made public my opinion that the Measure Q tax should probably be extended when it expires in 2016. And in fact, I'm working with the city of Concord through State Senator Mark DeSaulnier to try to get funding given back to the city that was taken away during the recession, when the state took away local tax revenues in order to balance their own budget. And now that the economy has improved, I've advocated that this money be returned directly to the city.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, the state seems to want any money that they give to the city, they want to do so through regional agencies, which restrict how the money can be spent. And given the fact that I believe the city council and the people in this case Concord can better assess what their needs are than a bureaucrat in Sacramento, I've urged that this money be given directly to the city. But it looks to be a losing battle because people in the legislature seem to want to exert more control over local government and think that they are better suited to make decisions than the people at the in the trenches, so to speak.
Yeah. Good stuff. So, do you think that being a part of all these different entities helps you out business-wise?
Actually, it doesn't.
It has a negative effect, or it just doesn't at all?
It's pretty business neutral because, unfortunately, if I was a life insurance salesman, or if I was in real estate or something like that, it would probably be helpful. But in international business, it doesn't really make much difference. Even though I'm actually on the board of the Concord Small Business Association, but it's more of a civic function than it is a business function.
Yeah.
We also belong to the Chamber of Commerce, mostly because we need to have certificate of origins for shipments leaving for various places throughout the world. We need them certified by the Chamber, which is actually the main reason that we belong to the Chamber, because unfortunately networking, coffee clutches, and ice cream socials are not going to help me very much. And if I'm going to put time in on civic functions, I want to have more bang for my buck, which is why I spend my time on city committees.
You're a decision maker.
Well, it's not really decision maker. It's more of a public service. Making decisions or taking credit is not really my gig. I'm also on the ad hoc downtown steering committee, which is trying to make up plans for Concord's future growth. I have nothing to gain business-wise by that because I'm not selling anything. And actually, in some ways it's good because since I don't have those type of considerations weighing in my mind, I can look at what's best for the city rather than what my business interests might be.
What's best for
because I'm definitely not a candidate for the Mother Teresa Award.
The Mother Teresa Award.
At least this year.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hope I answered that.
No, you're fine. So this is my last question. I always like to ask this question. If you had a friend come into town and they were starving, where would you take them to get a meal that best represents the Bay Area?
Boy, something. I'm definitely a foodie. And because I like wine and I like food and I like cooking and I know the difference, I'd like to answer that kind of indirectly. In the area that I lived, I originally came from San Francisco, where I grew up, and as such, I got accustomed to good restaurants and good food. And I would probably answer your question by who the person would be, what kind of food they wanted, how much they wanted to spend.
So say let's do a 4-star restaurant, Italian food.
Well, if I was going to talk around here, the first name that would pop up would be Mint 54.
Mint 54.
That's located on Treat and Oak Grove. 3 doors down from Trader Joe's. Claudio, the owner of the restaurant, has another restaurant in San Francisco, and he's brought San Francisco quality out here. When I first moved to Concord, like 33 years ago, the food was a disaster. The Sizzler family steakhouse and gourmet were in the same sentence, or so it seemed.
Yeah.
And that isn't true now. There are good restaurants, especially around Todos Santos, that I like. I like Tower Grill. I like raviolis. I like Rocco's. Asian food could be better. My favorite Chinese restaurant would have to be Three Brothers of China in Pleasant Hill.
Okay, yeah.
And there are some ethnic places that are good as well. There's a Czech restaurant over on off of Willow Pass, and there's there's some decent Thai places. So, in answer to that question, we do have some decent food here. I can't say that in all cases it measures up to quality in other areas. Notice I didn't mention chain restaurants because I tend to stay away from chain restaurants whenever possible.
Definitely, yeah.
One good thing that's happened in this area is before, when I first moved here, the main places that you could shop were named Safeway and Lucky's and Albertsons later on. And now there are a lot of, with Ranch 99, Seafood City, my favorite Russian store, which I don't know the name of. And there's also some good places where you can purchase Middle East food. This isn't the case anymore. You can find different things. We are lacking in meat markets. Excuse me. Lenardi's is one of the few places where you can get good meat. Fritz's is good in Concord, but it has limited products to sell. But in general, I would be happier with a better selection that would be available.
Okay.
Doors safe. You can't.
All right. Well, that pretty much concludes our interview. Just wanted to say thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule, and thanks for everything. Any last words? Where can we find more about you at?
Well, if you go to Richard J Eber, Halfway to Concord, or on the internet, lots of stuff pops up.
Halfway to Concord. All right. Well, I'll put all those links in the show notes, and we'll go from there. Just want to say thanks for giving me the time and for the interview, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right.